They lied to you. Every analyst, every insider, every so-called expert on the internet told you Brock Lesnar was done, finished, a relic, a memory. They said Paul Heyman had moved on. They said the Beast was gone forever. They mocked you for believing otherwise. Well, I want every single one of those people to look at what just happened on WWE programming, and I want them to say it to your face now. Go ahead. Say it now. Because Paul Heyman just walked back into that building, and he didn't come alone. Drop in the comments right now if you knew this day was coming, because I need to know how many of you actually saw this coming. How many of you held the faith when everyone else told you to let go? Segment 1, setting the stage. Let's go back. Let's rewind the clock and put this moment into full context, because if you don't understand the history, you cannot possibly grasp the magnitude of what just went down. Paul Heyman is not just a manager. Paul Heyman is not just a talker. Paul Heyman is the single most dangerous mind in the history of professional wrestling. Full stop. No debate. No argument. When Paul Heyman aligns himself with someone, that person doesn't just become a champion, they become an era. They become a chapter in the Bible of this business. He turned Brock Lesnar from a dominant powerhouse into a god of destruction. He stood beside CM Punk during one of the greatest runs in modern wrestling history. He whispered into Roman Reigns' ear and helped architect the Bloodline saga, arguably the most compelling long-term storytelling WWE has done in 2 decades. This man has a gift. A dark, twisted, brilliant gift. And for months we had been told that gift was being used elsewhere. That Heyman's chapter with Lesnar was closed. Done. Over. The universe moved on. Storylines shifted. New stars were built. Seth Rollins, the visionary, the Monday Night Messiah, had carved out his own empire. And then came the masked men. Mysterious. Calculating. Appearing from nowhere like shadows in the night, attacking, disrupting, sending a message that nobody could decode. Who were they? Who sent them? What did they want? The questions hung in the air like smoke. The internet went into overdrive. Theories were flying everywhere. It was one faction. No, it was another. It was a debut. It was a return. Nobody knew anything. And then Paul Heyman's music hit. Segment 2, the return moment. I need you to understand something. When that music hits, that specific, iconic, orchestral, almost menacing theme, the entire atmosphere of an arena changes. It's not just sound. It's a warning siren. It's the kind of music that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand straight up, because your brain on a primal level knows that something consequential is about to happen. The crowd didn't know how to react at first. There was that beautiful half-second of pure silence, that vacuum of disbelief. And then it erupted. Paul Heyman stepped through that curtain looking like a man who had been waiting for this moment. Not desperate. Not frantic. Patient. Satisfied. The way a chess grandmaster looks when he finally slides the piece into position that ends the game, the piece he placed 3 moves ago that nobody noticed. He walked down that ramp with purpose. With arrogance. With the kind of energy that says, I have already won. You just don't know it yet. And he had a microphone. Of course he had a microphone. He stood in the ring. He looked at the masked men. He looked at Seth Rollins. And he smiled. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the essence is exact, gentlemen, I appreciate the theatrics. I truly do. But allow me to introduce you to the reason your little performance ends tonight. The arena went quiet again. And then the music hit. That music. The low, thunderous, earth-shaking opening of Brock Lesnar's entrance theme. And the Beast was back. Segment 3, Brock Lesnar's energy and physical presence. I don't care how many times you have seen Brock Lesnar walk through a curtain. It never gets old. It never loses its effect. Because Brock Lesnar is not a normal human being. He is a physical aberration. He is what happens when genetics and obsession and pain tolerance collide into a single terrifying package. He came out and the energy in that building shifted from electricity to something closer to fear. Not the playful fear of a horror movie jump scare. The real, instinctual, biological kind of fear that tells your body something enormous and dangerous is near. The masked men who had up until this moment operated with total confidence, moving through that roster like ghosts, untouchable and mysterious, they stopped. They actually paused. And in that pause, everything was communicated. Every hierarchy, every food chain, every pecking order in professional wrestling reorganized itself in real time. Seth Rollins, to his credit, did not back down. Because Seth Rollins never backs down. That is both his greatest strength and the thing that is going to get him destroyed. The visionary stood his ground. He turned to face the Beast with that wild look in his eyes, that unhinged confidence that Seth carries like a weapon, and he pointed at Brock. He pointed at Heyman. He laughed. Because Seth Rollins is either the bravest man in WWE or the most delusional. Maybe both. Segment 4: The Confrontation. What happened next was the kind of wrestling television moment that you screenshot and send to every wrestling fan in your contact list. The kind of moment that gets clipped and reposted and replayed and debated for weeks. Heyman spoke directly to Seth. And he did what Paul Heyman does better than any human being alive: he made it personal. He brought up history. He brought up every time Seth had danced on the edge of greatness and fallen. Every betrayal. Every near miss. Every championship moment that slipped through his fingers. And he connected it all with surgical precision to this moment, and to these masked men, suggesting that the chaos Seth was surrounded by was not random, that it had been engineered. And the implication was clear: Heyman knew who was behind the masks. Or worse, Heyman was behind the masks. Seth's face changed. That smirk cracked. Just slightly. Just enough for the camera to catch it. Just enough for the millions watching at home to lean forward and go, wait. The masked men looked at each other. Then they looked at Heyman. Then they looked at Lesnar. And Brock took one step forward. That's all it took. One step. Two of the masked men immediately repositioned. Not running. Not retreating. But repositioning. And anyone who watches wrestling knows the difference. Running is cowardice. Repositioning is strategy. These were not scared men, these were calculating men who had just recalibrated their threat assessment. Seth screamed something at Brock. The microphone didn't catch it. The cameras didn't quite get the lip read. But the energy was there, raw, volcanic, electric. And Heyman, cool as ice, turned back to the camera and said the line that I guarantee you is already becoming a t-shirt: ladies and gentlemen, the Beast has an appointment. And Seth Rollins? You are the appointment. Segment 5: What this means for WWE going forward. Okay. Let's breathe for a second and break this down, because there are about 4 different directions this story can go, and every single one of them is compelling television. Direction 1: Heyman is connected to the masked men. This is the conspiracy theory that is setting the internet on fire right now, and honestly, it tracks. The timing of the masked men's appearances, the specific targets they've chosen, the strategic nature of their attacks, it doesn't feel random. It feels orchestrated. And nobody in WWE history orchestrates chaos better than Paul Heyman. If Heyman has been pulling strings from behind the curtain this entire time, setting the board for Lesnar's return, that is a masterclass in long-game storytelling. Direction 2: Brock versus the masked men. This is the pure spectacle option. You put Brock Lesnar in the ring with multiple mysterious opponents who have been terrorizing the roster, you let him dismantle them one by one, and you use that process to slowly unmask the threat and reveal the truth. Every time Brock F5s one of these guys through a table, the audience goes nuclear. Direction 3: Seth Rollins in the middle. Seth is the wild card in all of this. He is unpredictable enough to align with Heyman if it serves his purposes. He is stubborn enough to fight both Brock and the masked men simultaneously. He is creative enough to find a third option that nobody sees coming. Seth Rollins is the most interesting variable in this entire equation. Direction 4: The masked men reveal leads to a mega match. What if the identity of these masked men is connected to someone from Brock's past? What if this was always a trap designed to lure Lesnar back? What if the greatest return in recent memory was actually someone else's plan all along? I'm not picking a direction. I'm not spoiling theories. What I will say is this: WWE has enough pieces on this board to build something genuinely special. And after years of fans complaining about predictable booking, this is the storyline that has the most potential energy behind it of anything on the roster right now. Segment 6: The fan reaction and why this matters. Let's talk about the crowd for a second. Because live crowd reactions are the most honest barometer in wrestling. You can't fake 50,000 people losing their minds. When Lesnar appeared, the reaction wasn't just cheering. There was a particular texture to it. A disbelief wrapped in joy quality that you only get when something happens that people wanted but stopped expecting. It's different from a pop for someone you knew was coming back. This was the sound of a collective gut punch landing in the best possible way. And the comment sections, I've been watching them. Social media went absolutely haywire within minutes. The trending topics, the GIFs, the clips, the debate threads that are now 1,500 comments deep arguing about what this means and whether Brock is full-time, part-time, or somewhere in between. This is what wrestling is supposed to do. It's supposed to make people feel something so intensely that they have to talk about it. They have to share it. They have to find another wrestling fan and grab them by the shoulders and say, "Did you see that?" That's what happened. And that's why this moment matters beyond just the storyline. It's a reminder that when WWE gets it right, when the stars align and the booking is smart and the talent is elite, there is no entertainment product on the planet that creates moments like professional wrestling. Segment 7: Paul Heyman's promo breakdown. I want to spend a moment specifically on Heyman's promo because it deserves its own analysis. The man is 60 years old. He has been doing this for 4 decades. And he is still the best talker in the business. Not top 5. Not top 3. The best. What makes Heyman different from every other manager and talker in wrestling is that he understands something fundamental. A promo is not about the words, it's about the architecture. It's about building a structure of emotion in the listener's mind brick by brick so that by the time you get to the point, the audience doesn't just hear it, they feel it. They believe it in their bones. He used silence strategically. There were 3 moments in that promo where he just stopped and let the crowd noise fill the space. That is a master-level technique. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it. Heyman wields it like a scalpel. He used specificity. He didn't talk in vague generalities. He named dates. He referenced specific moments. He made Seth Rollins' entire career feel like it had been leading inevitably to this reckoning. And he used Brock. He used the physical presence of the Beast standing behind him as punctuation. Every important sentence was underlined by a glance back at Lesnar. Heyman's words were the thunder. Brock was the lightning. It was a masterpiece. Clip it. Study it. Show it to anyone who wants to understand how professional wrestling promos are supposed to work. Closing call to action. So here's where we are. Brock Lesnar is back. Paul Heyman is back. The masked men are still unidentified. Seth Rollins is standing in the eye of the hurricane looking like he's enjoying every second of it. And WWE has a story on its hands that if they execute it correctly could be one of the defining chapters of this era. I need you to do 3 things right now. First, drop a comment. Tell me what you think is going to happen. Who are the masked men? Is Heyman connected to them? Is Seth walking into a trap? Give me your hottest take, your wildest theory, your most unhinged prediction. I read every single one. Second, share this video. Right now. Text it to a wrestling fan. Post it in a group chat. Drop it on your story. If you got value from this breakdown, put it in front of someone else who would too. That's how this channel grows. That's how we build this community. Third, subscribe and hit that bell. Because I promise you this story is just getting started. And every time something happens, I will be here, breaking it down, frame by frame, word by word, moment by moment. Brock Lesnar is back. Paul Heyman has a plan. And Seth Rollins doesn't know what's coming. Neither do you. And that is exactly why you're going to keep watching. This is Ring Rumble 1. See you in the next one.